My name's Larry Goldstein. I'm the chair of neurology at the University of Kentucky, and I was a panelist on this first early career investigator debate. I'll let the other folks introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Irving Reyes. I am research assistant at the National Polytechnic Institute in Mexico City.
Hi, I'm Vivian Yang. I'm a vascular neurologist at the University of Washington.
Hi, I'm Rajat Dhar. I'm a neurointensivist at Washington University in St. Louis.
So this is the first time the Early Career Committee from the Stroke Council set up one of these types of debates, types of exercises for our new early career members. Maybe you could tell us what you thought about when you were asked to do this and what you thought about the experience.
I mean, when I see the invitation, I was really scared at first because this is one opportunity in 1 million maybe. So I submit my academic paper or something like that to the pro part of publish. So I think publishing is one of the most amazing tools we have to share information around the world. So that's why I think so first.
Yeah, I heard about this opportunity from my boss, basically, the director of stroke neurology at the University of Washington. He sort of forwarded, this email that he'd gotten to some of the more junior attendings saying, hey, this would be a good opportunity. And where we practice, we do have an open ICU format. So the debate topic was about open or closed ICUs for stroke care. And I just thought it would be a nice opportunity to share about my positive experience with the open ICU and also participate in this really interesting discussion where things aren't so simple. Probably the answer is a lot more nuanced than any side of the debate can capture.
Yeah, so the two topics that were debated, pro and con, one was publisher perish, the use of publications as one of the currencies for promotion, for academic promotion. And the other was more structural, whether we should have a closed or an open ICU model. Looking through the lens, in our case, since we're at the Heart Association stroke meeting, the International Stroke Conference, but from the lens of stroke care. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what it's like to have to take a absolutist view in a debate format, right? Because the debate formats, we structure it so that there's a pro and a con, and you have to make the best argument either for or against whatever the proposition is. It's a bit artificial. It does bring out, though, many of the points that are worthy of further discussion, recognizing in reality that the truth is never absolute. And maybe you could talk about what it's like to try to go through the literature with a bias in mind to support your point.
I mean, when I was writing my essay, and even I have like a guideline about this, it was very hard to not find things that I didn't like it about. So it depends of the perspective you have. For example, if you want to earn a grant or even to earn like a award, you need to demonstrate that you have all the tools that you deserve to win that trophy or something like that. So that's why.
I think, with all of these debates, probably everyone has in their heart what they truly believe, and then they have a pretend self that they have to kind of, step into to do the debate. And I think when you're filtering through the literature, you're obviously looking more for stuff that's going to support what you say. And if you see things that don't support what you say, you're looking to kind of break that down. So in my case, I feel like probably lots of people could see through it, but I was more presenting evidence that there is actually no evidence supporting that closed ICUs are superior. I wasn't frankly able to find a lot of stuff that says open ICUs are superior. So it's a lot of just semantic maneuvering in a way too.
So what was it like hearing the opposing position, right? Because your opponent in the debate was trying to make the strongest counter opinion.
I mean, when I heard the contra arguments, it was like I was stunned because I didn't expect that she managed that way. So I tried to first to see like what are my weakened points in my first statement. So yeah, it was very exciting to see like different perspectives and to try to take approach in different ways, you know, to understand everything.
And your opponent didn't have a rebuttal.
Yeah, so I lucked out a little bit, and I'm glad I didn't have to follow what Dr. Park said in the panelist discussion because that she obviously pointed out a lot of weaknesses in my argument that again probably my true self, not my debate self, does agree with, and so that's always hard.
What do you think as being a panelist? You're listening to these really smart people try to construct these arguments.
No, the arguments were, as we've been saying, put together very persuasively, and I think the topics chosen were ones that don't have simple answers and aren't black and white, but they do allow the debate of some controversial points. And as a neurointensivist myself, being partially won over by some of the points about a not fully closed ICU, and I think the panel discussion let us bring out some of the points based on our experiences and based on just knowledge of the field. For example, I've worked in a closed and open ICU, so then I was able to say, well, in my experience, this is things that I've seen. There are advantages and disadvantages. But in terms of the format, I think it was ideal for early career members to get involved, and I was excited to be a part of it because when I heard from the organizers, it was a chance for a lively debate in these areas which don't have easy answers, and I think that's a great format.
So one of the things that I was surprised at is how many people showed up for this. All of the seats that were in the area were full, and there were several rows of people standing there listening. Anything you were surprised about going through this experience?
At first, I was, oh my God, I'm not the scary at all because there was some small people, But after that, they start coming and coming, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a little scarier now. So, but I really enjoy it, and this is a very good opportunity.
I second that. I really enjoyed the opportunity. I've obviously been to these ISC conferences before, but this is a new event, so I had no idea what to expect. But my predominant feeling coming in was it made me realize that I hadn't done an in-person presentation in front of a group of people in a very long time. I've done presentations over Zoom for meetings and various topics, but so I just appreciated the sense of community that was there and the discussion that we were able to have together as a group.
Well, yeah, and I think it highlights how popular this format can be. I think even though it wasn't maybe in one of the main sessions, it may grow to be a bigger session in the future. I think that's the hope, is that these debates do, invite lively discussion, and people tend to be drawn in. So I think it was a success in that respect.
I was also encouraged by how engaged the audience was in it. They were really into it. Now, the votes, not so much, right? When you ask a room that's full of vascular neurologists whether they think vascular neurologists have a role in the management of stroke patients, I think you're going to get an overwhelming vote for. But the thing that was interesting about that, it was closer to 50-50 in the pre-debate, and then afterwards there was a major shift, and maybe people thought more of it, or the population of folks in the audience changed between the two, right? Test, retest. Okay, I think my takeout from this is that this was a worthwhile experience. It was engaging, and it's probably something that needs to be done again. Tweak the format maybe some, tweak the venue maybe a little bit, but overall I think it was a real great experience. I enjoyed it.